Welcome back to Big Time Fantasy. We're back. We took a little hiatus. Blame Nick, not me, but here we are back. So it doesn't matter whose fault it is. But we're excited to be back. We're in the prime time of the NFL offseason right now. Free agency is underway, and then the draft is right around the corner. So today we're going to be talking about some free agency moves that happened thus far and just kind of see the implications and what's going down.
Yes, sir. And before we get into that, make sure you like, subscribe, lets us know that you're enjoying the videos, enjoying the content. And we're going to be making videos all throughout the season, whether it's start sit questions, mock drafts, all that good stuff. So stay tuned. All right, and let's get started with the first big free agent signing. It's going to be Kenneth Walker. Dude is obviously a stud. Got his Super Bowl MVP this year. It's about time he's getting his flowers. Hopefully, he can stay healthy moving forward. He signed a pretty decent deal for a running back. 3 years, 45 million, so about 15 a year. Hopefully, the running back market starts getting paid a little bit better. I know that position as a whole, they just have been underpaid for so long. Just, I think it's due to the amount of injuries and just the risk factor there. But I think some of the major takeaways, he doesn't have Sharps there in Kansas City taking away his goal line touches. I think Charbonnet had more touchdowns than him on almost half the carries, like something crazy. Obviously, Andy Reid, great offensive mind. That's going to give him a boost. And that offense is just due for a bounce back once Patrick Mahomes is healthy.
Yeah, no, definitely. And the thing with Kenneth Walker is I think he is going to be, obviously like the largest riser from free agency thus far of, the moves that have been made. But someone in Dynasty that I would definitely not pursue. I think just anytime anyone goes to the Chiefs, any skill, anytime someone's drafted to them, anytime a free agent signs, it's just because you think of Patrick Mahomes, you think of the Chiefs, you think of their offense, what they've been, that the Dynasty community just kind of blows it up more than if they went to a separate team with maybe equal value. So not someone I'm looking to buy, maybe someone to sell high, but if you have him, then you got a huge boost of value for nothing. So
Absolutely.
and next, we got Travis Etienne Jr. going over from the Jags to the Saints. They still do have Kamara under contract, so as long as Kamara is healthy, then he's going to have to work with that. I think they'll do kind of a split thing, obviously. The offense, was not the greatest the last couple of years, so I think Etienne is not going to come in and solve that himself, but he's definitely not going to hurt the situation. And then, they're still got a young, unproven quarterback. I think they're going to ride with him for at least a couple more years until he proves himself or fizzles out with Shuck. So we'll see how that goes. The implications of this that I think not as many people are talking about is him leaving the Jags opposed to going to the Saints is that he's opening up touches right now for Tootin. We'll see if they sign another guy. We'll see if they do something in the draft. But right now, Tootin is actually a bigger boost than ETN got, in my opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree. Just the vacancy of all that workload um, definitely boosts Tootin's value. I think they have to sign, like, maybe not sign a running back. Maybe they could sign Aaron Jones or something like that. But they have to pick a running back in the draft. You would think that offense just will probably look so much different if they can't get a running game going. So we'll have to see on that. And Tyler Shuck did look good when it came to last year. It looked better than a lot of people thought he would. So hopefully, if he keeps that trend going, that offense can get moving and it'll be good for ETN.
Yeah, my first thought was that maybe Shuck would do some more check downs and things like that than Trevor Lawrence would. There's his name. But that being said, in passing downs, obviously Kamara's more so probably going to be in
Yeah.
than ETN. So maybe he won't get that value.
Yeah. I did hear some rumblings about Alvin Kamara possibly retiring as well. I heard that's on the table, but I don't see it. I think he still has some juice left, at least to be like a timeshare back. So
Yeah, for sure.
going into our next guy, the Rico Dowdle. He went from the Panthers, signed with the Steelers, and also Kenny Gainwell, who was there with Jalen Warren in the timeshare. Gainwell gets bumped out, and Rico Dowdle just gets placed right in that same situation. I think I was expecting personally coming off 2,000 yard seasons in a row that he would get more of an opportunity to be that sole back and be that guy for a team. Um, so I think his value slightly goes down, but he's still going to be viable on a week to week basis, especially with Jalen Warren. Um, he can catch passes, which I know Dowdle can a little bit, but he's going to be more of that early down back and not get as much of the passing game work. What do you think?
Yeah, last year was kind of hard to get a read on how they were using their running backs. It didn't seem like they were going with who they liked more at the time. It didn't seem like they were riding the hot hand. It just felt like they like threw a dart at a board and decided to use that running back per drive. But we do have a new coaching staff. You know, Mike Tomlin's going to be out. I think that you were right on being that he'll be the early down back and then Warren the later down back. But it's hard to say exactly how they'll use him. But it should be down from what he had in Carolina for sure.
Yeah, right.
Our next guy, we got Tyler Algier, if I could speak today. He's going over from the Falcons to the Cardinals, birds to birds. So he doesn't have Bijan Robinson, a top 2, 3 back in the league, to compete with anymore. And then James Conner does have an injury history. I think that I still do feel, just completely off of base feelings, that Conner will be the lead back more so. It'll be close to a 50-50 split back, I would say. I just think the familiarity with James Conner until he almost inevitably misses games. And then they'll kind of ride Algier from there.
Yeah. Yeah, I do think it's only like a slight boost because, like you said, it will be more of a timeshare when Connor's healthy. But I think compared to Atlanta, where he's competing with Bijan, and he's definitely the RB2, he's going to be more of like a
Yeah.
1B, if anything, could be 1A. But yeah, definitely
Yeah,
slight
percentage-wise, he'll
boost.
go up.
Yeah,
Yeah, yep.
absolutely. And he was like when he did get all the touches before Bijan got there, he had a crazy good rookie year. So hopefully he can get back to that a little bit. You know, we never wish an injury on anyone, but you know, if James Conner does go down again, he's gonna get a lot of touches. So,
Definitely, definitely.
all right, next to Kenneth Gainwell, mentioned him a little bit earlier. He goes over to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on kind of a cheaper 2 year deal. I think he goes from being in a timeshare with Jalen Warren to being in timeshare with Bucky Irving. So his value doesn't really go up for me. I know a lot of people in Pittsburgh love Kenneth Gainwell for how he ended the year last year.
Yep.
But you got to think Bucky Irving's kind of got a similar skill set to Jalen Warren, but he does it a little bit better in my opinion. So if anything, he's going to get a little bit less touches when it comes to that. But he does go away from that Steelers regime that, like you said, would just plug and play whatever running back was there, whatever they felt like at the moment. So
Yeah, yeah. No, I think it's going to be pretty neutral. If I had to pick up or down, I think I would go slightly down, just because it's for Kenneth Gainwell to replicate what he did, exceed what he did with Bucky Irving. There just seems kind of a little like a long shot to me.
yeah, definitely.
We got Alec Pierce, who just resigned, was his thing. But the big move here for the Colts is going to be that Michael Pittman is out of town now, so that's going to open up some more room for Alec Pierce. There's a guy that they liked throughout the last season, and since they got him, he's kind of I think he's more well-rounded and more of a talent than people think. I think he can stretch the field, more, I think, better than a lot of people give him credit for. So, I think we'll see what happens. We'll see if Daniel Jones is ready for week 1. We'll see if Anthony Richardson's on the roster. We'll see if they get a rookie. We'll see if they sign somebody, they trade for somebody. Who knows exactly what's going to go on with the quarterback situation. But I think it's a good thing for him.
Yeah, yeah, I do agree. It's slight boost, and he is better than a lot of people are saying. But 116 million for 4 years is a little steep. A little steep. I guess it pays to
It's a
be
lot.
the best receiver in this free agency class. And he's still young. You know, he's still developing. But being able to take the top off of defense, I guess that's really important for the Colts right now. I just wonder what implications this will have on the rookie receiver market for them. I think now they can use their first round pick to go after one of those guys. So,
Okay.
right. Next, we got Mike Evans. Obviously, everyone knows he's the Mr. 1,000 yards man. Didn't hit that yet last year for the first time, um, mostly due to injury. I think it's really important for him to not drink the water that they have going on in San Francisco because it seems
Yeah.
like every single person, every single year gets hurt at some point or another. Um, and a lot of times it's serious injuries. So we'll just have to see going forward if he can stay healthy. And then I do think if he can, he is the most talented receiver in that room. I know some of the other guys are younger than him, can still develop, and maybe they want to feed those youngins to help them learn and get better and develop further. So I think he does have a chance to still lead that room in targets and receptions and yards and touchdowns, but it's definitely not a guaranteed at this stage of his career.
Yeah, I think if he does stay healthy, he hits 1,000 yards pretty handily, closer to 1,100, I would say, honestly. Yeah, he's gonna be a mentor, and obviously he's in the twilight stages of his career, but still has a lot to give. I think he's gonna help a lot with those young receivers. It's gonna be weird seeing him not in a Bucks uniform. He's like Mr. Bucks, so it's gonna be weird just seeing him play. At least the colors are close enough to where maybe it won't be too weird. But yeah, Mike Evans should help out. Purdy should help out the rest of that offense, and like I said, just be a mentor for these young guys. And with Ayuk out of town now, then that'll open up even more targets. Not that he was playing last year at all. So
Yeah.
nice picture for this one. We got Romeo Dobbs going over from the Packers to the Patriots. Yeah, so he has a chance for a larger target share. You know that the Patriots kind of been looking for a guy, and Diggs is gone, so they're going to give Dobbs a try to be that guy for them. He's a speedster, and Drake May can maybe hit him with some deep shots. So yeah, like I said, Drake May is only ascending. He should keep getting better from where he is. And yeah, so hopefully Dobbs can go be his main guy. If not, be at least a big piece for Drake May.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think he has a little bit bigger of a boost than a lot of these other guys, just because the room itself, there's a lot of just a guy there. Like, there's a lot of, like, Pop Douglas, Kyle Williams never fully broke out. Similar to the Packers, but the guys that he was with were a little bit better.
Yeah,
So I think just going forward, he could easily become that number one guy for Drake May. Like you said, Stephon Diggs definitely out of town this year. So, yeah, we'll just have to see how he develops and if he can be that guy and fully embrace that role. So, all
definitely.
right, moving on to Wandale Robinson, the PPR machine. He goes and signs a deal with the Titans. It's a pretty decent deal, 4 years, 78 million, 38 guaranteed. He goes to Cam Ward, who definitely showed flashes last year. We'll see if they can keep him upright, get him a little bit better of an O line situation. Um, but I think the biggest thing with Cam Ward last year was he didn't have those higher end or at least capable receivers to throw to. And Wandale is kind of like a tight end. Like he's that PPR guy where he's a quarterback's best friend. He'll find the open space. You can hit him on quick routes and trust that he'll get open. And he's also going to a Brian Dayball who he has produced with in the past. And I think that Dayball wanting him there kind of shows that trust and shows that he can do that again and get all those receptions.
Yeah, no, definitely, I agree, and I think you kind of hit it, or at least alluded to it, where I don't think this helps Wandell as much as this helps Cam Ward. I think just having a guy that's sure-handed, really good in the slot, can get open and do all the right things. He's not going to drop the ball. I think that will help with a young quarterback, especially one that, like you said, doesn't have elite pass catcher options right now. I'm sure they'll still be looking either draft or for another receiver. I wouldn't be surprised to see something else happen with them. But I think that good move for the young quarterback. And essentially, this is like a two-year deal. I mean, obviously it's a 4-year deal, but as far as the guarantees go, so if for whatever reason it didn't work out, they could get out of it pretty easy. But I think he's going to be a good piece for them going forward.
Yeah.
Then we got Malik Willis going over from the Packers to the Dolphins. He's going to have a chance to start. Another thing I'm going to say up top here is I want to be surprised to see them take a flyer on a late round quarterback also. Maybe like a 4th round, somewhere around there. But this is good for him. As of now, he's going to be the presumed starter. He has a chance to expand on what he showed with those 3.5 games with the Packers where he balled out, and hopefully he can keep that momentum going. He has a few years, so he's not just a 1-year rental, so he's going to have a chance to be in with that organization and then build some trust, and hopefully they can build around him and he does work out. He's a guy that during the draft, his initial draft, I thought he should have gone a little sooner. I think he was kind of a mid-third, early to mid-third. I think he should have been someone should have took a flyer on as a 2nd rounder. But he did keep dropping, and then he didn't really get his chance until he was with the Packers, and he did show some things. So I think it's a huge boost for him, obviously, with him being the presumed starter now and not playing behind Jordan Love and having to wait for an injury. But I do think it actually does bring some of the pieces around him ceiling down as far as Waddle, and then even Achane with having a more rushing quarterback. That could take some stuff away from Achane as well. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I agree on it impacting Devon Achane a little bit in the passing game. Tua was a statue back there. Then no one wanted him to get hurt, so he's not going to get as many checkdowns. But I do think I trust in Malik Willis. I think he can get Waddle the ball and whatever weapons they end up putting around him. So I don't think their value goes down too much, especially compared to Tua. Like, you never knew what you were going to get on a week-to-week basis with him. So I think it's pretty similar there, but I agree the pass catching will go down for Achane. I do like the take that they're going to look for quarterback late in the draft. This year's draft, there's Mendoza at the top, and then you just have like this mid-tier of guys that could work out if they develop, and especially with Malik's story here, he can show them the ups and the downs in the NFL and get them pro ready. So I like that take.
Yeah, no, a guy I'm rooting for, so hopefully it does work out for him there. It'd be cool to see him ball out.
Definitely. All right, another guy, Isaiah Likely, former Raven, signs with the Giants. He's not living in Mark Andrews' shadow anymore. I think a lot of people in fantasy wanted to see him out on the field and out producing, and he's finally getting his shot here. He goes to a higher volume passing offense. The Giants like to throw the ball a lot. At least they did last year. We'll see with the new coaching and Harbaugh. But the Ravens definitely were super run heavy, so we'll have to see on that. But I like that he gets to play with Jackson Dart. He was making, what's their tight end's name? I think Theo Johnson and Daniel Bellinger. He was giving them decent amount of targets and looks. So now that you have a big athletic tight end like Isaiah Likely, I think it's likely that he'll produce pretty well for fantasy.
Very good there, Nick. It feels like the Giants have kind of been looking, for their guys since Darren Waller started getting hurt. So ever since they're kind of shifting out guys, trying to see who's going to work out for them. Likely, I think this is a great opportunity for him. Obviously, I think that the Ravens are kind of one of those teams where they can really make most tight ends look good, but I think that Likely is talented too. So this is a chance for him to prove himself that he was not just good because of the system, but that he's just a talent himself. He gets a young group of guys there to work with. So I'm sure that Jackson Dart's still looking for his guys. He's Malik Neighbors. They had a good connection, but then, he went down, so he didn't have much time with him. And then he's trying to get the ball to other guys. And then, Scatabo goes down. So I think that likely is going to come into kind of a fresh system and have a chance to build a real connection with Jackson Dart. And a tight end can be a young quarterback's best friend. So he has a chance to really do some things there.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree with you. Right, now shifting
Obviously,
into some of the trades that happened this offseason, either right before free agency or during free agency. I think the biggest one and some one that I'm happy with is DJ Moore going to Buffalo from Chicago. He goes to Josh Allen, which will be a, I guess, an upgrade because he doesn't have as many weapons there. So he can be that guy for a superstar quarterback that's at this time in his career still better than Caleb Williams, and he won't have to compete for targets. And I do think he can be that number one. He's shown that before. So
yeah, yeah. I think he definitely has a chance to be number one. They love to spread the ball around, but they haven't had someone of DJ Moore's talent since Diggs left. So we'll see if they continue spreading or if they, kind of funnel some more targets into DJ Moore directly. Got Michael Pittman going from Indianapolis to Pitt. I think he did it because of his name, obviously, for a namesake. Yeah, well, Pittman's someone I've never really been high on. I don't think that this will be anything crazy. Maybe you feel different about it, but I mean, you can see that they swapped seventh rounds for him, so obviously they're not incredibly high on him either.
yeah, it was a super cheap deal. Like a swap in seventh rounds is like insane for someone at least of his caliber. Even if we don't think he's elite, swapping seventh round is like nothing. So
Yeah,
I do think he can be a serviceable two with Metcalf there. Metcalf focuses more on the deep stuff. He's got the short to intermediate. I do think that'll be a good change of pace for him. I don't think he's going to be a stud in fantasy necessarily. And Pittsburgh, there's still questions. Is Rodgers going to be there? Did he sign his contract?
I don't believe so. I'd have to
Okay.
double check, but not. I definitely haven't
Yeah.
directly heard it.
Yeah. I know he likes to wait till the last minute, um, build up the anticipation. So, all right. Getting into next notable trade, David Montgomery goes from Detroit to Houston. I think I'm just going to go ahead and say what everyone's thinking. This puts Jameer Gibbs all the way to the moon. Dude, I think, no question. Well, I guess him and Bijan, they both have rooms to themselves now, and we'll just have to see who ends up being the RB1 and who ends up being the RB2 because I don't think there's much room around that besides injuries. So
Yeah, yeah, exactly. No, yeah. So he's going over to Houston. We'll have to see what's going to happen with Mixon. I don't think there's been an official word
I
on if
think
he's
they
healthy,
cut
if he's
him.
back, if he's. Did they cut him?
I think they cut him.
Okay,
I have to
okay. Well
fact check.
then, yeah, definitely. Then, yeah, wide open for him. Yeah, to go in and dominate there, which he's he has the talent to do it. So hopefully Montgomery can go and just boost that offense even up further.
Yeah.
And then we got Geno Smith going from the Raiders to the Jets. Some people will say that this is nothing. I think that Geno Smith is certainly better than he played on the Raiders. We'll see if he's prime Seahawks Geno Smith or close to the Raiders. But I think you will get a version of him better on the Jets. And if you're the Jets, it can't get worse. So be happy with what you got, I guess is what I'm saying there. But no, any thoughts on the Geno?
Yeah, I agree with you. It's kind of hard to be worse than what he was with the Raiders. Um, the Jets, they're not in the running for it for the Super Bowl this year, next year, or probably the year after. You know,
Or maybe any
so
year?
yeah, yeah, exactly. They'll mess it up
Yeah.
some way or another, but I think yeah, this is just a bridge quarterback situation. If he plays bad, that's good for them because they get a better pick. If he plays well, that's good for him, or that's good for them because they don't suck. There,
Yeah.
there's not much here, but um, I do think he'll play better than what he did on the Raiders. I can agree at that point.
Yeah, and actually, something I don't think we put in here before we go into the top
Yep.
free agents still remaining. It's fine either page. Yeah, speaking of the Raiders, is that Linderbaum obviously went there and instantly improves their offensive line by a ton. So I think a big winner that is not someone that moved teams or anything like that is going to be Genty, because he could not get even 2 yards behind the line before getting hit, or touched or some type of contact. So I think that Genty is a secret big winner for this.
Definitely. And improving the middle of that O line is just going to help wash down the whole rest of it, from guard to center or guard to tackle. So,
Yeah,
agreed there.
yeah. All right. And then we got, Kyler. I've heard connections with the Vikings as the only team I've directly heard so far. And then we got Kirk Cousins. There's a couple teams maybe need a quarterback. I haven't heard him firmly linked with anything. And we got Juwan, Debo, Njoku, White, Diggs. Yeah, we'll see. I'm kind of interested to see who wants to pick up Diggs, just with him, being older and then all that type of stuff. But I haven't heard a lot of these guys linked to anyone directly. I don't know about yourself.
Yeah, not really. Obviously, Kyler to Minnesota. I feel like that's been pretty much everywhere, and I think Minnesota's backup plan would be going back to Kirk Cousins. So I think these two guys, one of them is going to get the Minnesota job, the other one, either a backup or, bad team that just needs some guidance for a young player. Um, Jawan Jennings, I did hear rumblings of the Raiders. I know the Max Crosby deal that went through, and then they spent a bunch of money already, and then it fell through, so they still have to pay him 30 million towards their cap. Um, I don't think that's going to be viable anymore unless they do end up finding a trade partner for Crosby. Um, but yeah, I did hear 2 minutes before we started recording this, Rashad White did just sign with the Washington Commanders.
I was gonna say, I feel like while we were recording, one of these guys were gonna sign, or like the second after we finished,
Yep.
someone was gonna sign. So good catch on that. I didn't even get that alert. So
Yeah.
White to the Commanders. Okay,
Which they
so
they need a running back. They have Eckler coming off injury. Bill Crosby Merritt, never really panned out when he got the opportunity. So I
yeah,
think White, it'll probably be a timeshare a little bit with Bill, but um, he's not the best pass catcher, but I feel like they just need a ground and pound guy, and then use Bill Crosby Merritt for more of the explosiveness and pass catching. So
yeah, and if he does end up being the top RB there, just playing with the mobile quarterback always helps boost non-pass catching running backs value, just because linebackers have to watch both the quarterback and the running back. So if he does get a good role, and then he can have some decent value.
yeah, definitely. All right, I think that's gonna do it for our free agency recap. But
Yeah,
thanks.
guys, we're back. We're gonna start posting multiple times every week. We won't leave you again, I promise.
Yes,
So like, subscribe, so we can keep going, keep growing. We appreciate you, and keep up with Big Time Fantasy Football.
thanks, guys.